PTE Academic just changed the exam format in their exam starting from August 7, 2025. So in this video, we're going to get straight into every single one of those changes with not just the explanation, what the new change is and how it's going to affect your marking, but also the exact strategy, technique, and video tutorial live with you right now of how to solve the new questions and how you should change your strategies for the other tasks that were affected by these changes. Let's get into it. Now, before I show you step by step how to solve the two new questions in the PTE exam, we need to go through one thing first, and this is a major change that nobody's talking about. There's been a new addition to how they're actually scoring questions that are free to interpretation. So for example, your described image, your retell lecture, your respond to a situation or summarize group discussion, or even the writing summaries and the essay. And basically what that change is, the computer first of all checks if your content is relevant or not. And if your content is irrelevant, you can actually get 0 for the whole question before it gets scored by the computer or before it gets assessed by a human. So let's have a look at this. If we can see here, this is an example from the PTE Academic Scoring Guide where you can see exactly how the scoring works. So described image is one of those questions that are open to interpretation, meaning different people are going to answer this question differently. So 20 students are going to answer in 20 completely different ways. And the first thing the computer is going to do is actually check if the content of what you're saying is relevant to the picture or not. If not, you're going to get 0. There's going to be no additional scoring. Why did PTE actually do this? Well, we've always been talking about the latest strategies and the changes in the exam. And for years, we've been telling students, you cannot repeat the same format. That doesn't make any sense. Now, one funny thing, Pearson actually puts an example of what that looks like. Now, what you can see here on the screen is an actual example of Pearson telling you what not to do in the exam. You can see that in the past, many students have been using templates that don't actually make any sense. There's a very beautiful image on the screen. I have 25 seconds to speak about this image. Thank you very much. And they would just keep repeating the same thing again and again, and they would actually get 19 speaking.
Well, you failed.
So that's why if you're taking the exam for the first time or you've already taken the test, but you're getting used to the new changes and the new updates, you need to know what are the latest strategies. You cannot just blindly follow something from 3-4 years ago. So make sure you're following whatever's the latest and newest that's actually working in the exam. And you can even see here, the image is a beautiful graph and shows various information. So this is one of those templates that I used to make fun of all the time. Our video guy can even find a clip from it before. But anyways, that's enough for this. Let's get into the two new question types. So the first new question is called Summarize Group Discussion and is being added towards the end of your speaking section after short answer questions. This is your first time giving the exam and you're not sure how the format works, make sure to check the links in the description of our other videos where we go through the full exam format from start to finish. So back to Summarize Group Discussion. First of all, this question is going to give you points both in the speaking and in the listening section. So the content is very important for the listening, and you speaking nonstop continuously, your fluency is going to affect your speaking score. First of all, you're given 10 seconds to prepare. Make sure to take lots of notes. This is going to be a group conversation between usually 3 speakers, but in the past, I've seen it being anywhere from 2 to 4 speakers. So be prepared either way. Of course, it's going to be academic focus about submitting an assignment late, about trying to ask for a deadline, a change, or some kind of academic topic, which you basically have to summarize. And finally, you'll have up to 2 minutes to actually give your answer. So you'll have to elaborate quite a bit. You need to make sure you have enough content. Let me actually show you how to do this question, and it's very important how you take notes. Check this. So as you can see, a very important step of this to actually do it right is to make sure that you organize your notes properly. And for this, it's always good to know the scoring criteria straight from the source from PTE Academic. So check this. What they're looking for is, first of all, for you to actually write what is the main topic. Obviously, that's usually given in the first 10-15 seconds. And then when you have multiple speakers, which you know of in advance, you can divide your page into 3 parts, as I usually do here. You have S1, S2, and S3. And of course, for each of those, they want to see what are the main ideas that the speakers talk about. So it's sufficient to actually have one main idea per speaker, whether it's on a certain topic or whether it's the main concern or whether it's the main thought that they're trying to get through. You need to make sure you capture this. And then of course, you need to have a couple bullet points for each of the speakers of what they actually said in the audio. Now, what's very important, since we can't actually use templates anymore, because PTE is checking not only with the AI, but also with human verification. So we need to make sure that we're not repeating the exact same words. This is one of the things I preach about and we teach in our class is flexible language patterns. So what is this? Basically, it's good to have an overall structure of what you're going to say. For example, the main topic of this lecture was about 3 students worrying about their exam, right? And that's something you can modify very easily. The main subject of this audio was about how 3 students are preparing for their final academic exam. Again, as an example. And then you can use different words. The first speaker talked about, the second speaker talked about, the third speaker mentioned, or the first speaker discussed, in addition, the other speaker mentioned, and the third speaker also added that. So these are the kind of words which have academic connectors. Moreover, in addition, furthermore, likewise, the speaker elaborated, discussed, mentioned. Those are the kind of keywords they're looking for. But if you use that at the start of the sentence, I guess for you it's going to be on this side of the screen. If you use this at the start of the sentence, it's very easy for you to make a grammatical sentence from your notes in the second part of the sentence. Because you're not actually thinking that Sarah was going to school, but then she also said that she had to submit her assignment and also... So if you're trying to form an entire sentence from start to finish on the go, it's very difficult because you got to actually add articles, prepositions, and so on. But if you go, the first speaker was very worried about finishing her exam on time. First of all, she thought she didn't have enough time to finish the last question and she was rushing through the other questions. Additionally, the second speaker agreed that the exam was quite tough, but she was able to finish the questions just in time. The third speaker was actually able to finish the exam much earlier and he was not so much worried about the timing, but the difficulty of the questions here. See, if you have a couple set sentences that you can go to, it's very easy to add your notes in the second part of the sentence and maintain fluency. Now you see the way I'm speaking has been pretty much nonstop. And this is for a very specific reason, because the number one thing that determines your speaking score here is not your grammar, it's not your logic, it's actually your oral fluency, meaning you're speaking continuously without a pause, without any hesitation. Now, if you were just to imagine a heart rate monitor in a hospital, whenever it's moving up and down, you're alive. But as soon as that line goes flat, or you have too many pauses, or you don't say anything for a long time, you're gone. Whether it's in the real exam or in the operating room. So be careful, don't stop talking. Now, of course, if taking notes this way is a little bit difficult for you, you don't need to do it from left to right. You can actually do it from top to bottom as well. And the only difference is you're going to write the main topic at the top, speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3. And what you can actually do is whatever is the main topic that the speaker is talking about, you can write it over here and over here and over here. And of course, you should have 2 to 3 bullet points for the actual words they said throughout the audio. Whatever works best for you, doesn't matter. I don't care, as long as you can actually read your notes, they're well organized, and you're including the main topic, the key ideas from your speaker, and a couple sentences of what they actually said, you will get the full points. And let's see.
A group of 3 students are discussing their university accommodations.
Have you sorted out your university accommodation yet? I heard that you're going to stay in the university hall this year. What made you go for that?
Well, first I like the fact that it's all-inclusive and I don't have to worry about anything. Bills, cleaning, or dealing with landlords, and all the problems that comes with renting. Also, sharing a flat with other students is loads of fun.
Maybe, but you know that it's really the luck of the draw who you end up living with. Sorry to disappoint you, but there's no guarantee you'll live with any of your friends even if you book together as a group and request to stay together. Don't you mind that you have no control whatsoever over who you're going to share your accommodation with?
I don't mind being placed with people I've never met before. In fact, in a way, I actually kind of like it. I love getting to know new people, widening the circle of my friends. That's one of the benefits of living on the university campus, isn't it?
Well, if you say so, but that's definitely not for me. I don't like being thrown in the deep end and not having any control over the people I'll be living with. Plus, having to put up with their mess and noise on a daily basis? Ugh! I had enough of that last year, so I'm going to rent a flat with one of my mates.
That's a bold move. Are you sure about that? Have you thought about all the bills you'll have to pay? And also, maintaining the property is going to be your responsibility. You'll have to do all the cleaning, too. I think campus accommodation is the best. I want to hang out with people and go to lots of events, and living on campus is going to make it easier.
I've decided to go for a shared flat. I prefer living with people who have the same habits. You know, I come from a quiet home, and the idea of having loads of people around constantly is kind of irritating. I might do it next year, but not now. I don't mind managing the bills because I like the independence and flexibility I get in return.
So you guys are giving up living very close to university, and you're prepared to pay more to be on your own. Plus, there's the cost of public transport.
Sure, but with my own place, I get a bit more space. I don't really fancy having a tiny room feeling cramped. True, I might have to go a bit further away from campus to get a cheaper rent, but I don't mind that at all. I'm planning to buy a cheap bike and cycle to class, so I'll get my daily dose of exercise.
As you can see, it's not a lot of time to prepare. In between, the audio kind of starts and you have to be ready. The lecture had the information about 3 different speakers that were talking to each other about university accommodations. The first speaker talked about how they're thinking about staying at the university hall and staying on campus. The second speaker talked about that he prefers actually the all-inclusive options and he doesn't want to have bills and maintenance and other things to deal with, and instead he prefers to share the room with other people because it's more fun. The third speaker talked about that there is no guarantee of control about who they will share the room with. So they decided to go for a shared flat instead. And they talk about the different benefits of having a shared flat. One example is actually having more friends. After that, the first speaker talked about how she also doesn't like having control because a lot of people could be creating a lot of mess and noise. And another thing that she had an issue with is that the rent could be late and she has to deal with all of the deals of the bills and all the maintenance, but she doesn't mind. Then they started talking about how you also have to do all the cleaning by yourself, but for some of them it was okay. The third speaker finally decided that he wants to share a flat with his friends and he doesn't actually mind the commuting and he might instead live on campus next year. Overall, they also discussed at the end the topics about public transport and the cost of actually getting to and from campus. And the final outcome from the first speaker is that she's happy to live off campus because it has more space, but she will consider buying a bicycle in order to get to the campus without having to pay for public transportation. Overall, it seems like the 3 speakers had completely different approaches to how they want to live on campus, whether it's sharing with other people and meeting new people or having more space, but living a little bit further off campus. Not terrible. All right, here we have to reply to a situation.
One of your friends...
And the final question of the speaking, which is one of the new tasks, is respond to a situation. We'll get back to the main video in a second, but I have a small favor to ask you and it would mean the world to me. It takes us a lot of effort, time, and money to actually do these videos for free for you on YouTube because we're usually busy teaching students, updating our practice portal, and doing all of the other stuff most of the day. So it'd mean the world to me if you just give us a quick like, subscribe, leave a comment. It really helps us in the algorithm. I'm not asking you anything else. And if you do decide you do need some help or some personalized feedback, you can always message us for extra support. Now back to the video. This question I would say is not as important, but it's still crucial that you actually do it fluently because it gives you points in speaking. However, the good news is it doesn't give you any points in listening. So you don't really need to worry about the kind of vocabulary you use in terms of catching the right content or anything like this. Basically, what's going to happen, there will be an audio prompt that tells you what the situation is. And oftentimes it's going to be an accompanying text as well on the screen that you can actually remember what the question is. What you have to do, you have to respond to that particular situation. So let's look at one example in particular. Here's an example prompt. You're doing a group project for a class. The other members of your group have asked you to prepare the slides for the presentation. You are willing to do the slides, but need them to give you all the information that you have to include before the weekend. What would you say to them? After the recording starts, you will have up to 40 seconds to give your answer. Now, what's very important in this question is that you're actually addressing the person properly, because usually they will ask you to respond to that situation. So of course, you're going to be talking about yourself in first person. I apologize, or I'm sorry, or hey everybody, I'd like to propose something. So you need to make sure not only that you're using first person, but you actually make note of who you're supposed to address. Is it your professor? Is it your teacher? Is it to apologize or is it to ask for something? Because how you start this question is very important. And what they're checking here is that you answer all of the questions requested in the prompt. That number 1, you're willing to design the slides. Number 2, you need more information and you need the information before this weekend. This means that you covered all the content, and another thing they check is that you are polite, you're using first person, and you're using the right tone, whether it's to ask for a favor or to apologize or whatever the context may be. All right, here we have to reply to a situation.
One of your friends from school is going away to start university next week. She's excited, but sad to say goodbye. Some of you are discussing ideas for a present to give her for her new apartment. What would you suggest to them?
So here, it's very important to actually know how to address these people. And you can look at the question for clues. So to all of our friends, I'd like to propose an idea. Since one of our best friends is going away for school, even though she's very excited, she's actually sad to go away, we should come up with some kind of an idea to give her a present for her new apartment where she's going. What I would like to suggest is to giving her some kind of a pictures of all of us together. So even if she's away for study, she can remember all of us and have fond memories of all of us. or we could come up with something practical that she will need on campus, such as a microwave or cooking utensils or some other type of decoration from her room. Really appreciate your guys' opinion, and let me know what you think and what you prefer that we buy for her together. I think that was quite decent. All right, you've decided you don't want to take the course in mechanical
You have
engineering.
decided that you don't want to take the course in mechanical engineering. Your friend has dropped a course recently. You want your friend to tell you the correct procedure to follow and when the deadline is for getting a tuition refund. What do you say?
So here you also have to keep in mind that you forget sometimes the question. Look at the question, you can paraphrase, because they will be expecting those words to be repeated and their synonyms. Hey mate, I actually know that you dropped out of the mechanical engineering course recently. I don't like the course myself too much and I want to drop out of it as well. Could you please give me some advice on what is the correct procedure to follow and what is the deadline for actually getting a tuition refund? Of course, I don't want to be stuck paying all of this amount of money for a course that I'm not taking. So I really appreciate your suggestions. It would mean a lot to me and it would definitely save me a lot of headache and a lot of cost if I can get my refund and instead pick another course that I might prefer. Instead of money, I almost said cheddar at some point. So sorry for the hesitation. I thought in the real exam, that's not a good advice because if the human examiner is actually listening to the answer as well, definitely don't say cheddar. So as you guys can see the result here, we got 19 speaking, 19 listening, 19 reading, and we got 65 in the writing section. Now to explain the reason why we got 65 in writing, I will make this in another video, so make sure to check the link for the description and you can find all the details about the new change that's affecting the writing. But specifically for the purpose of this video, the two questions that were introduced, which is respond to a situation and summarize group discussions, give points both in speaking, and summarize group discussion also gives points in listening, right? So that means theoretically, if my tricks wouldn't work, that means the listening and the speaking would not be 90. Now, since we got 90 in the mock test, that means we know that it works. So if you do it with this kind of fluency and you follow these techniques, you will get the score in those two sections. And again, stay tuned for the next video to check what are the changes and what are the adjusted strategies that are affecting the writing section. Take care. Their system is getting super strict with the essay part.